Hello everyone, this is Zareef Ahmed, your host for today's webinar. In this webinar, we are going to cover 10 differences between AWS and Google Cloud. Both of these are market leader. So let's start. This is a very short webinar, so we have to rush through our content. In the start, I would like to quote CEO of VMware, Paul Martis. He said, cloud is about how you do computing, not where you do computing. That is right. Cloud is more about your application structure, your deployment plan, and your after deployment services. In this webinar, I'll try my best to be neutral, which is difficult, especially if you have worked with both AWS and Google Cloud a lot. In this talk, I'm only giving information on how some of the common features are different from each other. Both of these products of respective companies are ever evolving. So many things may change in future. I have created these slides in month of August 2017. So if you are going through the recording of this session in future, please keep this in mind and refer to official documentation for latest information. As of today, I have tried my best to cover things which have been added to these platforms even just few weeks back. So let's start the journey. Oh, my introduction slide. Let's cover it quickly. I'm Zareef Ahmed. I'm a writer. Yes, a writer who can write softwares and program. I also write blogs and articles in different kind of media. To write my programs and softwares along with my articles and blogs, I'm using Java, Python, PHP, and other programming languages on different kind of platforms, mostly Linux. I do write blogs and articles in Hindi and English. I'm doing these activities to do my work on big data, DevOps, analytics, and application development on different kind of cloud platforms, be it public or private. I write my blog on technology. In the bottom, there is a link to my LinkedIn profile. Please connect. Also, I would like to mention that there is a Q&A button in your view. If you have any question, you can ask them. I'll try to answer them in the end of session. So why this presentation? Let's set the background. Why we are doing this presentation? What are the major goals? So as you know, AWS is market leader in open cloud space, but other players are making inroads into its market share. Google Cloud is one of them. In this talk, we are going to cover 10 differences between Google Cloud and AWS. Major focus is on the features which covers common use cases. You can take this talk as a stepping stone to understand another cloud service provider if you know one of them. We are going to touch topics like computation, networking, big data offering, etc. Pricing also is being covered in a specific section separately. So who is the target audience? If you know either AWS or Google, then you can use this short webinar as your starting pad to understand other side of a spectrum. If you are new to both AWS as well as Google Cloud, then you may face some difficulties in understanding lots of keywords in these slides. I'll suggest using a notepad to make your notes, and please do some secondary level of readings after this webinar. It will be useful for you. So let's set the agenda. We will start with very few basic points in the history of AWS and Google Cloud, and then we will move to these 10 different categories. We will be covering 3-4 points in each category. So roughly we are going to cover around 30-40 points in this session. It means it is going to be really faster one. In the end, I'll do summarization of our webinar. That's obvious. So history. AWS was started in 2006. After 2 years, they started giving EBS storage. And in the same year, in month of October, they removed beta tag from their services and become fully production ready service. On the other hand, Google become production ready in their compute engine category in year of 2013 only. Although their app engine was around since last many years, but it was fully managed service. You was not able to do lift and shift of your application on app engine. It was not a infrastructure service. There was a learning curve. You have to develop your application according to standards of Google app engine. So you can see that Google is behind AWS by roughly 5 years. In these 5 years, Amazon has become market leader with huge market share, and other providers are only trying to catch with it. Compute. Let's cover the compute one. So on Google Cloud Platform, you can define your own customized machine. On AWS, we have predefined machines with certain numbers of CPUs and a predefined amount of memory. We also have same thing on the Google Cloud Platform, but if you want to create a very specific, very customized machine with your choice of memory size, with your choice of CPU numbers, then you can do that on the Google Cloud Platform. That is really a great feature from Google Cloud Platform. Uh, Google only support automatic scaling. No manual or schedule scaling is available in the load balancers. Uh, on Amazon, suppose if during daytime you want to increase every 10 a.m., every day at 10 a.m., you want to increase the number of your servers by 5, and then about 5 or 6 p.m. you want to destroy those servers, you can schedule those kind of things on Amazon, but you cannot do the same kind of thing on Google actually. Google only support automatic scaling. You have to define some criteria, maybe CPU uses or other conditions, and then you can do your scaling over there in that case. And Google support serial console login. This is really crucial if you are debugging your instance or server. If due to any reason, maybe some misconfiguration with the networking, you lost connectivity to your server, then you can enable the serial console login and you can try to do at least some basic level of debugging in the Google. Amazon doesn't have any such service. And Google also has this auto suggestion about capacity usage. Like if you have created a server with 10 gig of RAM with uh, sorry about that. Uh, so if you have created a server with 10 gig of RAM with X number of CPUs, and if you are not using them fully, then Google will suggest that you are not using your server completely. So let's downgrade it. It's really good for billing purpose. At the same time, if your server is overutilized, it will also suggest you to increase the capacity. This really becomes handy in many situations. On the networking front, this is our second category here. There isn't any IP address on load balancer in Amazon, while Google has a static IP assigned to load balancer. On Amazon, they give a host name using which we can do the load balancing. We need to do some CNAME record settings in our DNS zone. While on the Google, we have a static IP address. That means we can create uh, a record in our DNS zone for that purpose. And as of now, Google don't have any support for IPv version 6. Amazon is having really good support for IPv version 6. Officially, Google says that they support the movement to adopt IPv6, but technically speaking, they are yet to support it. And there isn't any outgoing firewall rules in Google Firewall. If you want to do some kind of rules around outgoing data or traffic, you need to use something like IP tables for that purpose. Well, that was the same case with the AWS Classic also, but then firewall of AWS VPC is really good one. You can create even outgoing rules on that one. Google is still lacking that feature. And Google has a specific network route algorithm which they have introduced just few months back. One good thing with Google is that they are market leaders. They have more than 10 products on which they get more than 1 billion users per day. And they are using this experience into their cloud offering. So they were using this algorithm on YouTube since last few years, and using that algorithm, they were able to improve the latency by 5 to 30%. And now that algorithm is available to each and every cloud user of Google. And another difference is that Google subnets can span multiple regions, while AWS has to be in the same region only. Only locations or availability zones can be different, but subnet cannot span over multiple regions. Google is really doing good on that front. Latecomers always has some benefits. On the storage front, so you can attach your hard disk with multiple instances or server in read-only mode. On Amazon, if you create a EBS storage device, you can only attach it to one machine. While on the Google, you can attach it to multiple machines. One machine will have read and write rights, but other machines can access this with read-only rights. This is really a good thing. And AWS Glacier, which is a archival offering from Amazon, has latency of few hours. Means if you want to, you have stored your data on Amazon Glacier and you want to retrieve that data, then it will take few hours to get that data. But on the Google Nearline, which is the same category offering from the Google, we have only few seconds latency. That means that we can get our data whenever we want it. Google snapshots are global, while AWS has region-based snapshots. Snapshots are kind of backups of your machine or your data hard drives. So Google creates snapshots in their global regions, while AWS has them in region-based. That means that if you have created your snapshot in Mumbai and you want to use it in US, then you need to transfer it from Mumbai to US, and then data transfer charges will be applicable. This will not be the case with the Google. And Google storage can be updated conditionally. Here, when I'm saying Google storage, I'm comparing the AWS S3 and the similar category thing. On the Google storage one, we can give a condition while we are updating our data. In the RDBMS front, Google only support MySQL as of now. Recently, they have started supporting PGSQL also, but that support is still in beta. And AWS support PGSQL, MS SQL, Oracle, MySQL, and they have one of their own offering named Aurora. Google's focus is more on NoSQL, while AWS is still playing nice with RDBMS segment also. This doesn't mean that AWS don't have any offering in the NoSQL era, but emphasis is evenly distributed, while Google is mostly focusing on the NoSQL. Redshift of AWS is similar category offering of Google's BigQuery. These are really big, products from these two big players, which we cannot cover in these slides. Maybe we will have some other webinar for that purpose. In the NoSQL one, maximum size of a record is 100 MB in big table of Google, while it is just 400 KB in DynamoDB. DynamoDB supports secondary indexes while Bigtable does not. So you can see that while data size is really big in the Bigtable, but Bigtable don't support secondary indexes, which may be crucial for performance purpose in some cases. And Cloud Data Store is the NoSQL offering of Google. Big data, BigQuery is one of the offering from Google, and it is a no need to provision anything system. You just need to import your data and start query and pay only for storage and for your queries. Cloud TPU. This is a new kind of hardware chip which Google has invented recently. And this is a first artificial intelligence neural network chip for machine learning in market by Google, only available for Google Cloud users. They are not going to sell this chip in the market. They have promised that. And it's a new hardware and service which is about to become a reality in near future. They have planned that by end of 2017, they will start pushing it at a large scale. While AWS is still trying to play with software and services only. So Google is doing their entry in the hardware chip. So Google Cloud Speech with a strong backend support from TensorFlow is a powerful tools which you can use through API. AWS lack this kind of services as of now. And this just a brief about Google Cloud Speech. This is really a API based, very great application. You just need to send your voice file and they will send you the text file based on that. And they have support for more than 150 languages in the world. Uh, Even more than 10 languages of India are supported. Bengali, Gujarati, Tamil, Kerala, obviously Hindi. On the analytics front, we have Dataproc. Dataproc is a Hadoop system by Google. And one of the great thing with the Dataproc is that its lead time is just 90 seconds. You can create your complete Hadoop cluster within 90 seconds. While EMR, which is the same category offering from the Amazon, it takes roughly 15 minutes. This is a huge change. And Google's analytics services are usually fully managed, while Amazon is still trying to do different kind of services. AWS few weeks back enable cloud trails logging for everyone. They have done it just few weeks back only. Uh, so it is available for everyone without any extra cost. They are as of now storing 7 days of data which you can use. And Google Cloud is using Stackdriver logging separately. It is again a subscription based system or service. On the application front, Google has two types of app engine, standard and flexible. Remember, this standard one is the same which they have launched in year 2008. AWS Beanstalk is the same category offering from the Amazon, which is more similar to the App Engine Flexible of Google. And containers with Google's are Kubernetes based, while Amazon has their own offerings in that front. But recently, Amazon as well as Microsoft has become part of a consortium which handles the development or the future plans of major cloud uh, systems. So we believe that in near future, Kubernetes will also get upper hand at AWS. App Engine standard file system is not writable and only few languages are supported. This is really a good thing, especially if security is concerned. That you need to upload your code in a very specific way, and where your code is residing, your code cannot write on that hard drive or storage, we can say. Uh, you need to use external storage for writing your things, but that's not a big problem if you have architect your application in really good way. I have deployed even WordPress on App Engine standard in past. Well, flexible one is really, as name suggests, flexible. You can use different kind of languages, and even lots of flexibilities are available into that one. So the management. So there is a Bastion server in cloud always available in your browser provided by Google. That's really a good thing. Amazon doesn't have any such thing. And SNS, which is simple notification service by Amazon, only support push notification, while the same category offering from Google named PubSub support push as well as pull. SNS has 10,000 limit, while PubSub doesn't have that kind of limit. PubSub, you can send only up to 10 MB of data or message. With SNS, you can only send 256 KB of data. As of now, Google's downtime is usually higher than AWS. This is really need to be noted. According to some data available in the market, in 2015, AWS was down for about 2 hours, while Google was down for around 12 hours throughout the years. This is really bigger one. Things are improving in recent time, but still, AWS is leader, stable, so this is quite understandable. On the pricing front, by the way, guys, you have Q and A question and answer button on your screen. If you have any question, you can shoot your question through that window. And you can send your question anonymously as also if you don't want to release your name. Pricing. So Amazon has a pricing on hourly basis, while Google has pricing per minute basis. This really become crucial if you are doing lots of experiment or your application downgrade or upgrade according to demand, uh, application demands. This become really price sensitive. Google has 10 minutes minimum usage. So if, that means that if you use Google server for 5 minutes, you will be charged for 10 minutes. But if you will use a Amazon server for 5 minutes, you will be charged for 1 hour completely. And then there is a new kind of discount feature available in the Google, which they call sustained usage discount. This means that more you use their servers, more you get discount. Um, Prasad, your question is how much percentage users of Azure is using my organization? Unfortunately, I cannot answer that question. What your organization is using, only you can tell. Or you would like to rephrase your question? Azure is roughly third. So with AWS, you can sell your extra reserved instances in marketplace. They have a different kind of price categories, which they called reserved instances, where you pay for 1 year or 3 year, and then those resources are yours. But if you are not using those resources, uh, then you can sell them in the market with AWS. Google doesn't have any such thing because they don't sell any such thing. Although just last month they have introduced a new kind of pricing policy, which is still in beta, by the way, and which may change. That means where you can do the same kind of reserved kind of pricing. So roughly Google is cheaper than Amazon in many categories. And you can purchase bulk memory and CPU on Google and then divide that capacity accordingly into separate machines. That is not possible with Amazon. And Google has a full 300 USD free account, while AWS has free tier machine type and other services. That means that if you want to try, yes, Prasad, that's point is answering your question. So Google has 300 USD free account. So you can use their services up to $300. On the AWS, they have free tier machines type and other services. So you need to keep tab on your uses in the AWS. Google has really good, good support for that one. Yeah, yes, Prakash, they have, but Google's support for speech is really better than anyone else in the market. And in the last, this is energy. You can see this chart. So this is how Google is using or Amazon is using renewable energy. There is a good thing that Google has planned by end of 2017 that they want to become 100% renewable energy users. So Google's uses. So if you are really green kind of person who support only renewable kind of energy, Google is should be your first choice. Okay, let's summarize this one. So Google is good at pricing, especially if you are experimenting. Why? Because Google has permanent billing. That means that if you have tried a server for 15 minutes, then only 15 minutes charges will be there. And they have this 300 USD in your account, which you can use in their different services. Even their bigger services like speech to text or BigQuery, they only charge per uses basis. And they also have a free uses system. So Google is really good for experimenting purpose, and AWS is having more number of data centers than Google. Google is really adding lots of new data centers regularly, but they are still behind AWS in this segment. And Google has focus on big data and analytics. AWS has focus on retail customer and traditional web host. Google is mostly what Google is doing that they are productizing their things which they are using internally as of now, like BigQuery, TensorFlow, their algorithm for networking purpose, Kubernetes, which was created at Google only. So they are productizing those things and making them available to public, even this hardware chip for artificial intelligence. While AWS is mostly caring for retail customers, they are trying to create lots of services around common use cases. Even just last year, they have launched this a new service where you can create your a new, server on monthly basis, like traditional web host were doing. So Google is productizing what they are using. It's a major benefit, as I was just mentioning. So AWS is launching new products for almost every area of uses. DevOps is taking center stage in AWS, while Google is little behind in this. Uh, well, if you consider container systems for the DevOps, then Google is way ahead. Container management at Google is superior than AWS. So question and answer. You guys have any specific questions? Okay. Yes, we will be uploading the recording of these sessions, and then you can go ahead with this one. So I'm closing this Q&A session. I know that session was short, but my availability is not. You can always connect to me, whatever question you are having about AWS or Google Cloud. This is my LinkedIn URL, as well as, yes, Sohan, you can ask your question in question and answer one. Yeah, and this is my homepage URL. You can go there. Yes, and remember this session was organized by Knowledge Hut, which is a training service provider. If you need any kind of training or certifications services, drop an email to support@knowledgehut.com. You can also visit Knowledge Hut's websites. Thank you. That's all from my end.